Okay, let's begin. I'm gonna fire up the Apple camera. I did a quick little trip to Ghost Lake. I had some maintenance done on one of my fly reels and thought I'd go and try it out before we get the ice. Anyways, while there, I brought my camera, the iPhone 17 Pro Max. I didn't bring a tripod. I didn't bring a gimbal. I had only one purpose. I wanted to see how well it would record, having everything turned on auto wherever possible, and using video. I'm going to be the 99%, not the 1%, the 99% of most people using the phone for video. For format, I basically use 48 megapixels where possible, and use H.265, I believe, the format. And I wanted to test the Apple camera against Final Cut camera and Blackmagic. Blackmagic and even Final Cut is new for me, so there was a learning curve involved, and I did discover a few things. Let me just go to Blackmagic camera. I assumed that stabilization would be on automatically because that was my camera setting. However, Blackmagic does not use it. In fact, it has its own. Right at the bottom here, I don't know, it looks like a little dot with like an elevator view. You hit that, and you have off, standard, cinematic, and extreme. I did tests using all four actually. Now, if I'm at 24 millimeters, it's not bad. It's pretty good. But there was a little bit of a shake because I wasn't using a tripod. I was by the water. In fact, I'll show you that video. And windy. The wind was warm but windy while casting. With the stabilization off, I would not have been happy with the video. It was a little bit on the jerky side, if you want to call it. Later on, I test to see what it would be like using the 800 millimeter or 8 times the zoom. Even at extreme, when I set that at extreme, it still was not that smooth. So that took me by surprise. So I compared that against Final Cut Pro. And I compared it against the camera app. Final Cut Pro was noticeable smoother. The quality of the image was just as good as the others, even though I wasn't using a tripod. And it almost seems like Final Cut Pro, including, I shouldn't say Final Cut Pro, I think it's Final Cut Camera, and including the Apple camera, seem to be using the same stabilization. It's just that I get the impression the Final Cut camera had one extra step. It had its own little setting. Let me see if I can find it here. There you go. stabilization. So I get the impression it adds to it. Now, I didn't use the action button because with action button, you'll probably get a little bit better. Now, the reason why people who use Blackmagic don't want to use stabilization is because it does reduce the quality of the picture, and yeah, it's there. It does reduce it, but I think you need a magnifying glass, or you got to zoom in like 6-7 times to see the difference. So, as long as you're using a tripod, a good quality tripod, your iPhone mount, it's sturdy and steady, doesn't move in the wind, you can get some better results. But that's the 1% of people. The 99% won't be doing that. So, if you're the 99%, Final Cut camera or the Apple camera would be the ideal one to use. As long as you have the stabilization turned on and the camera setting itself, and also with Final Cut, you have that extra stabilization, it seems. Okay, what did I learn from the video? Which I'm going to add the little couple of tests that I did. I found that I could improve on what I was taking just by panning a little bit slower. This way the auto lock and the blur will even be less. If you move and pan too quick, you get a blur, right? That's to be expected. But if you don't want to, move very slowly, slower than you normally would, especially when you're zooming in. That's even more critical. If you're capturing an object, but you also want definition of things behind them, yeah, definitely moving in. I didn't play with focusing or anything like that. Everything was auto. I found the white balancing was automatic, was good. The only difference I saw is when I shot in RAW only, which created a JPEG picture. It was a little bit warmer, just slightly warmer. I asked my better wife, I compared the two, I said, which one did you like? She liked the one the camera itself took using HEIC. So there you go. Again, it's a personal thing. Okay, hopefully this helps a little bit. I've only touched on one aspect. There's so many other points. So I thought I mentioned about what you have to watch out for. Blackmagic, you have to turn on the stabilization, and you only have 3 choices. And even at extreme, it didn't do quite as well as the Final Cut camera or the Apple camera. That becomes more obvious the further you zoom in. And regardless of the app you're using, the slower you pan, the steadier you keep your camera, naturally it's going to be nice. If you use a gimbal or use a tripod, it's going to even improve more. Okay, we'll cut it short and just give you a little clip there that I took of basically what it did. Okay, this is the iPhone 17 Max Pro, no editing. Basically, I used the Apple camera, 4K, resolution, 60 frames, no tripod, handheld, and what else can I say? Yeah. So, this is OS, and I also tested from 13 millimeters, 24, 48, 100, and 200 millimeters. So that's the scoop. I'm gonna just see what iMovie does for exporting. Okay, here goes. Okay, there we go. Eight time zoom. I guess I needed my other unit so I wouldn't shake as much. Well, I'll find out how bad it is anyways. Need a tripod. If you haven't done so, it would be appreciated. Please subscribe. And thank you for watching. Have a nice day.